Your Olympic hero has arrived. It's true, it's true.
You're watching Fugitive Red Eye, and welcome back to Monthly Movie Recap. Yeah, I know, it's not monthly, whatever. Same thing, same story, different day, right? This time, we're going to be talking about a few different movies. We have 9 movies to talk about. So, first movie we're going to talk about is Attack of the Giant Leeches. This is a 50s B movie. It's pretty fun. I saw the Mystery Science Theater 3000 version of it. It actually had some of the better jokes as far as Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes go, because those episodes can be very hit or miss for me. This one was one of the better ones, I would say. The movie itself was decent enough. There wasn't like a ton of like action or anything in it, but it was fun enough. I enjoyed it. Really bad special effects on the leeches. They're very obviously just costumes, but you know, I'll take bad practical effects any day over shitty new CGI that we get that's bad. But yeah, it was overall decent enough. Next up, we have Chopping Mall, which is a horror movie about killer robots going loose at a mall and killing people. Really fun movie. I quite enjoyed this one. It's also very, very short. I watched this one because it was on Tubi, and it was recommended when I was looking through slasher stuff. It's not really a slasher. I guess in some ways you could maybe sort of kind of, but not really, no. It's killer robots. But it is a cool killer robot movie. It's a lot of fun. It's short, sweet, to the point, gets right into it, and doesn't waste a ton of your time. Next up we have Gorgo, which, again, another Mystery Science Theater one I saw. Gorgo was fun. It's kind of a ripoff of Godzilla in some ways. Not as good as Godzilla, for sure. It's a giant monster movie, and there are multiple Gorgo monsters. It's fun enough, again. Another decent Mystery Science Theater episode, but it is just a fun giant monster movie. There's not like a whole lot of depth to it. It also kind of parrots King Kong a little bit with the way they capture the monster and bring it back home. Next up we have Requiem for a Dream. Requiem for a Dream is a movie about 3 different characters going through drug addiction. The son and the mother stories are really good. The one with the woman I don't care about, like, at all. Like, the ass-to-ass scene, I guess, is kind of iconic. But, like, the shit she goes through is nothing compared to what the son and the mother go through. Like, they go through so much more horrible shit, especially the mother. But it's really just a movie about people's lives getting fucked up by drugs. I think it gets better as it goes on. There are a couple of parts in the middle where I feel like it drags a little bit. But towards the end, it gets really fucking depressing and dark and fucked up and mean-spirited. So, very enjoyable watch for that, you know, if you can call that enjoyable. I quite enjoy that kind of stuff. So actually we have 10 movies here looking at it, but not 9, but whatever. We got Bad Lieutenant, both versions. I had this one entry on the list, which is why I said 9 instead of 10. So the first Bad Lieutenant movie I saw was fucking great. I actually think I preferred it a little bit over Taxi Driver. It's got a similar vibe to Taxi Driver in some cases. It's about a cop that does a lot of drugs and, you know, is kind of crooked, does some questionable stuff throughout the movie. But he's trying to solve this thing about this nun that got raped. But she's, like, forgiven the rapists, and then the cop is trying to track them down. And it's got some vigilantism in it. It's really a movie about clearly a guy who wants to do the right thing to some degree, but again, he's too fucking weak to do the right thing, as he says in the church scene, which, by the way, is fucking great. I love that scene. But it's a very interesting movie, and it's got a very interesting look at things like crime, forgiveness, and fucked up nature of it. Like, it's a really good movie. Bad Lieutenant's great. Now, as for the Nicolas Cage Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans, that's great for an entirely different reason. That movie is fucking nuts. Like, he cucks a guy, that he stops this guy and his girlfriend and takes some drugs off them and then fucks the chick in front of the guy and forces the boyfriend to stay and watch. But at the beginning of the movie, he does save a guy's life who's drowning in a prison that's flooded. But then also he does a bunch of drugs, he does a bunch of illegal shit. Like this one, the cop in Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans, Nicolas Cage's character, does a lot more fucked up shit, I would say, than the one in the original Bad Lieutenant. Anyway, it's a bananas movie. It's Nicolas Cage. There's a scene where he threatens an old lady with a gun, and it's fucking great. Like, honestly, Bad Lieutenant Port of Call, New Orleans is great. Again, very different movie than the original Bad Lieutenant, but both of them are great. Next up, we have Judd Sus, or Jude Sus, however you want to say it. It's technically a Nazi propaganda film. about a Jewish character who's getting increasing power in the country to take over and let the Jews in and sort of subvert German culture. It's based on a real guy, but obviously this is the Nazis' take on it. Going into it, I expected it to be a lot more like stereotypical, you know, money-grubbing, happy merchant, that kind of thing. It does depict them as, like, the epitome of evil, in particular the main character, but incidentally, they make him the most charismatic character, like, legitimately. He just feels like fucking Blackadder with the way that he acts. Like, the Jew character in this movie literally just feels like Blackadder, and he's super charming, and even though the movie's trying to make him out to be this horrific piece of shit, and he does all this evil shit in the movie, you kind of root for him because he's the most charming and charismatic character in the movie. Like, the hero is just kind of dorky looking, and, like, doesn't really do a whole lot. So you see this guy manipulating this dumb duke and getting increasing power and doing what he wants and just taking what he wants and not caring. You kind of respect it. Again, he's obviously the bad guy, and he gets hung at the end, which I'm pretty sure the real guy did, too. But surprisingly, actually a way better movie than it had any right to be. Judd Suss, actually a good movie. Actually a really good movie. Next up, we got Monkey Shines, which is a horror movie about a guy who gets a helper monkey that kills people for him. Now, I was expecting a lot more kills going into it with that premise. There's only actually a few. She kills 2 people in a fire, and then she kills the main character's mom and friend, spoiler, towards the end of the movie, but the guy's able to prevent the monkey from killing his girlfriend. It's about a guy who gets crippled, and then he gets the helper monkey because of that, right? But then, as the movie's going on, he builds up this weird telepathic connection with the monkey. There's a lot of weird shit in this movie. It's got a lot of crazy shit, but it's a lot of fun. Monkey Shines was a fun movie, and a really interesting premise for a horror movie, and actually inspired that episode of Malcolm in the Middle where Craig gets the helper monkey that tries to kill him. Alright, and finally we have Night of the Living Dead, the original. I saw this on Halloween night. It was a great zombie movie. It obviously established a lot of the tropes that zombie movies would have. And I do like that, spoiler, that the one guy that survives, the black guy, who, by the way, is a fucking cool character. The black guy in, I think his name's Ben, in Night of the Living Dead, is the coolest fucking protagonist in, like, any zombie movie. Like, he just gets right into it, does the shit that needs to be done. Like, he's cool. I like him. But then he gets shot at the end because they think, these zombie hunters don't even bother to check if he's a fucking human. It's a really good movie. It's a little slow in a couple of places, but overall I'd say it's actually pretty well paced, and it was actually pretty controversial for 1968 when it came out. Really fun movie, and in the public domain, so I was able to show it on my stream during Halloween. Anyway, that's it for this monthly movie recap. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Have a good one. Toodles!
You take forever to say nothing.
Subscribe to Fiji Red Eye.